want to start off first by saying it's going to be more of a series of videos. I actually, by the time you guys see this, it's probably a lot of time will have passed. I honestly feel as though I should have done the series as a live stream, but the truth is it would just end up being such a large block of time and commitment that most probably just wouldn't be able to catch it. Most probably wouldn't be able to just watch the whole thing through. So I'm probably just going to end up breaking this into the series of videos. I think it'll best be a little easier to digest that way. And I think I'm better suited for live streams, but as far as ease of digestion and just availability's sake, I might go with that format in the future, but I digress. Like I said, it's been a while since I made one. But my topic for today, though, I wanted to break down just a little bit of information and to give a little context, right? So, in particular, this one is for my buddy Red. I mentioned him in the past video, and I wanted to just give a little context to a couple fragrances that had introduced it to, right? So, first and foremost, Red, I'm going to give you the full presentations of each of the fragrances that I gave you samples of. But before I do that, I wanted to just give you a little more idea as far as tobacco. If I can find it, yeah, here we go. So folks, forgive me, but just a quick little breakdown. We've been talking about the differences for seasonal wearings, right? And Red's in a spot where he's now exploring different notes and just see what all's out there. Now, he told me that he enjoyed like woody nuances, just spices, things of that nature, right? Now, he's already exploring, got a collection of his own, all that above, right? So this is where, to me, one of the best parts of actually being so involved in this comes into play. Helping others navigate the waters. That's, in my opinion, my purpose, my thought process, that's where all this is supposed to be used, right? Tobacco. We know, in general, woods, spices, all those other things, they're not necessarily the freshest of notes, right? They're not clean, fresh. Therefore, it makes them a little bit less appealing, right? A little less, I should say, a little less mass appealing. But we all enjoy variety. I'm not gonna anywhere near claim people need variety on this level. This might be crazy to some, but as far as fall is concerned, tobacco, I think, especially for those that have never experienced tobacco fragrances, is a bit tricky. It's a bit out there, especially if you don't know how all it functions. And when I say tobacco, yes, I am referring to tobacco. You smoke it, right? But most don't actually understand that tobacco has oils as well, and the oils vary. Now, I know probably those watching, you'll probably have to really struggle because you'll think, tobacco, why do I want to smell like I smoke? Why do I want to bring that to like a professional environment? Why do I want to bring that to like a night out on town, a date, or anything else like that, right? So that's where that whole learning curve, the process comes into play. Now, I can spend a whole lot of time explaining those nuances, or I can just do what I'm about to do. Words never compare to just putting the sense in front of you and allowing your nose to just do the work, right? I can try and describe some of this stuff 100,000 different ways, but you and your scent memory will determine everything. Which brings me to the point. So, this is what's called a fragrance wheel, what I'm about to show, right? This is the fragrance wheel. And in it, you will find the various fragrance DNAs available to us, the consumers, the market. Right now, this was invented, or I'd rather say patented, 1940s, French Perfume Society, da 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 da. Right, but essentially, you can kind of get an idea of the different styles, the different versions, the different DNAs available to us for consumption. And as you can see, woods, spices, all this. Some of this stuff is a little harder to digest than others. The tobacco. Tobacco, earthy, warm, maybe spicy, can be dry, can be smoky, woodsy. Red, the samples that I gave you though, I started out introducing you to some, I would say, more palatable tobaccos. In particular, those are a little easier to digest, right? Even though it's may not be so readily prominent for you to see, the first one that I introduced you with was one of my favorite small niche indie brands, City Rhythm. This one was City Rhythm Miami, right? City Rhythms Miami. Now, Miami is what they would refer to as like the flagship of the house. This is, I would say, a fruity tobacco fragrance, right? Now, I've mentioned this to you before, so I won't go down the full breakdown, but I will give you a presentation of the house, right? Should you decide to get yourself a bottle, right? This is the container that it'll come in, right? Now, this right here is actually a magnetic click right there. The fragrance, when you purchase it, sits inside the box like this. Here you have a little breakdown of the brand. Brand owner, name is Niles. If you get a chance, you should probably message him and, ask some questions. I know you're new to the group, all that other stuff. I also know you're a big fan. Miami in particular, but, I digress. But the thing I like about, as far as City Rhythm, along with several others, is that it comes with this. Now this card gives you the entire breakdown and list of everything within Miami, right? Now, like I said, it's a fruity tobacco. You've worn it, you've experienced it for yourself. I know you enjoy it. But that's one style tobacco, right? Since it's a fruity tobacco, it's a lot easier, nicer version. The ones that I introduced you to most recently, though, those are a little more, I'm going to call them more heartier versions. Less fruits, less sweeter nuances, but they don't quite smell like you're just a smoker or anything else. They just have that gentlemanly thing about them. Brings me to the other two, right? So, the first one that I gave was this one. Another one from a different indie niche house. This one is called Zaharov's Signature Tobacco, right? You'll notice the wrapping there. Let me see if I can get that on camera there. Now you'll notice the wrapping. Bottle design is a little different than Miami. Bottle designed to twist, click into place, can be held. I don't suggest gripping your bottles by the top, just for right. But bit of editing from the future here. Realize I forgot to show one last presentation. Zaharov Signature Tobacco. How dare I? Of all the small indie niche houses, it's obviously one of my favorite. Zaharov Signature Tobacco. Yeah. If it's not readily visible here, it's kind of based around an actual cigar I'd partake. Bottle will sit comfortably within this. Bossed, debossed, gold etching. As far as bang for your buck, my money's on that one. But this one is, it uses a common tobacco DNA, right? Honey tobacco. They paired well together. But it isn't just a honey tobacco fragrance. This is also very gentlemanly and, I would say, grown. Very childlike, in my opinion, right? The box that will come in of course, Zaharoff. Now, I also wanted to give you the note breakdown of that as well. Signature tobacco. Signature tobacco. And this is what I mean by it. It has that grown gentlemanly thing to it. Signature tobacco. It has cognac, lavender, rum, star anise, Divana. I'm not going to get into the breakdown of each individual of these, but just follow along with me, right? Gold honey, blonde cedar, temple oud, the tobacco leaf, ones I mentioned before, pimento leaves, fir balsam, sandalwood, that's the woody nuances I was mentioning, plum, black amber, myrrh, frankincense, tonka bean, and of course, as I said before, vanilla. It's one of those common ingredients. You'll find it in most fragrances. Why? Because it's nice and digestible. But that brings me now to one of my absolute favorites for the fall and winter. And I think you and yours enjoy it as well. Now, honey tobacco is a more hearty version, right? This one is an even more, I want to say, bolder offering for tobacco. Now, it's not jumping off the deep end. I actually haven't taken you into those deep waters just yet, but that's on purpose. It more for later, I guess. But the next one that I gave you, Red, that one is from a house called Parfums de Marly. It's a bit of a darling in the fragrance space, right? But this is that bottle, Parfums de Marly. This one is called Herod. Parfums de Marly Herod. Thick, heavy caps, all metal. Don't drop it on your toe. It will hurt, 100%. This is the one that you described. It smells like fall or like holidays. That's a very accurate description. This one, very good, kind of a warm, cozy tobacco. It has lots of notes like cinnamon, tobacco, vanilla pods, musk, osmanthus. You've worn it for yourself. You know how it feels. You know, as soon as I smelled it, you can pick it up. Now, I know it isn't listed, but I also get almost like a cherry pipe tobacco from it. Like I said, this one is fantastic, but it also offers a slight smoky nuance. It's more from incense, but it's just giving you a little different taste, a little different direction. And still within, I would say, a palatable tobacco. It isn't too scary or too often the deep waters, but 100% worth getting. And like the gunmetal bottle, like it, for me, it helped did it for me. The last tobacco that I gave you, though, if we're gonna talk like a fruity tobacco, something that is the most mass appealing, the most attractive, a lot of people would gravitate towards it. I mentioned earlier Miami is the one I started off with. That was a fruitier tobacco, right? I would say this one is a fruit tobacco fragrance. In fact, I would actually say tobacco is more of a background player. But you have also experienced this one as well. And without a doubt, as far as presentation is concerned, my man, if you're looking for a little like collection bling, this one will do it. Another, and I gotta pause for this as well, because this one comes not just from another small indie niche house, but Red, this one hits home for me because the owner is from round away. Right here, man. Not here anymore, but he came up right here. This one. This is from a house called Argos. Argos Fragrances, right? It was my first from the house, like most of us here in the space. And this one is called Triumph of Bacchus. The Triumph of Bacchus. And this is just one of those, I would call it a benchmark. If you're in the market, you're exploring the fragrance world or whatever, and you wanted to just explore kind of the things that are out there, if you ever find yourself coming across tobacco, I think it would behoove you get your nose on Triumph of Bacchus. I said it was a fruity tobacco, but the reason why you gotta get full presentation, right? Argos does not play around. It might be one of the best presentations you can get, point blank, period. Especially at the price point that they're competing at. I honestly have to stand on that. Again, this is just a cover for the samples, right? That's the care that goes into samples. Here's the full box presentation. Same artwork. Might take me a little second to get the box up. But here's the box presentation. Lord have mercy. He's drowned out in the white. Oh, there it is. A little better. Gold embossing. Also, magnetic flap. See there? But when you get your bottle, it is comfortably seated. Then there. You see that right there? Full note breakdown. Oh, Lord have mercy. There you go. Now, fruity tobacco. This is what I mean. I want to call it party. The party tobacco, right? Work with me now. Saffron, white peach, green apple, rum, patchouli, jasmine, tonka bean, vetiver, tobacco, amber, sandalwood, and vanilla pods. Vanilla musk. Yeah. Triumph of Bacchus is absolutely fantastic. Most people usually come across this DNA when they're searching for tobacco fragrances, and for good reason. It's, I think, for you, if you didn't get introduced to Miami, but you might want to start with one of these two as your starters. This one for your heavy winter, like right now, 40, 50-ish degrees. You remember how this one sang in that cold, crisp morning air. Absolutely. But I guess that's about it for this